Hello everyone, this is Sudhanshu Ramteke from CUET BABA. Today we will focus on Introduction to History. Before we begin with its definition and scope, let's try to understand the origin of the word history. The word history has originated from the Greek word historia, which means information or an inquiry designed to validate a truth. Now let's look at the definitions of history. Many people in the past have attempted to define history. As per Aristotle, history contrasts research into facts with the logical task of explanation, whereby he means that things in history are related to each other. Now, coming to Herodotus, the father of history, he has said that history means inquiry into the interesting and memorable past events, which actually is a reflection of his famous work, The Histories. As per Jawaharlal Nehru, history is the story of man's struggle through the ages against nature and the elements, against wild beasts and the jungle, and some of his own kind who have tried to keep him down and to exploit him for their own benefit. Now, his definition of history is very anthropological in nature that takes into account the earliest past of humanity. The most novel definition of history has been given by E.H. Carr. As per him, history is the continuous process of interaction between the historian and his facts, and an unending dialogue between the present and the past. By which he means that history is full of historians' own biases and that it is an eternal conversation between the past and the present. Now let's focus on the scope of history. Earlier history was a part of literature and has now emerged as a domain of its own and depends on other subjects to complete itself, whereby various values are put in human mind. The scope of history has been explained by Professor Collingwood in his book Idea of History, where he conveys the idea that history runs on the principle of cause and effects, where the events of the past from the past have resulted in the present, and the events of the present would result in future. According to Professor Trevelyan, the scope of history touches three different aspects, which are first scientific, second imaginative, and third literature. Now, let's study the importance of history. Since history is interconnected, we can learn a lot from our ancestors from the past in order to take better decisions in the present to foster a bright future. As per King Charles V, history is a detailed record of human society. Now, why do we need this detailed record? Because it teaches us the development of human society, cultural uprising, how social systems were transformed and reformed, how constructive and destructive actions as well as ideologies took shape, and their impacts throughout history. Study of history instills a research attitude and competence in us. It helps us in understanding of our ancestors' bravery, cultural traditions, our nation's past, truth, courage, patriotism, and ideological renaissance, and provides insights into human life, mental discipline, past mistakes, unity, progress, warning of societal destruction, and preserving freedoms. And it is crucial for education, mental development, moral teachings, self knowledge, emancipation, inspiring youth, and promoting contemplation, as well as fostering pride and understanding of a heritage. Its study promotes memory, imagination, and thought process. It bridges the gap between theory and practice and changes our outlook, thereby fostering social unity, national integration, and international brotherhood, as we all share a commonality in the past. The art of writing history, which is historiography, encompasses various social, economic, religious, and more aspect which promotes the knowledge of human nature and prepares nations for the future. Now let's study history and auxiliary sciences. So what are auxiliary sciences? In simple words, they are the subjects or domains that help history to complete itself. So, and what are these subjects or domains? Let's discuss them. Political science gives history political insights of the past. Sociology helps it to study the societies of the past. Economic supplements the knowledge of economic conditions of the past. Psychology gives insights on the nature of human mind of our ancestors. Geography helps history by detailing the events that took place in given arenas and how those very arenas shaped those given events. Anthropology tells the story of human societies and so on. Art helps history to genuinely comprehend the sophisticated aesthetics from different timelines. Theology provides religious aspect to history, and lastly, literature provides it with a lingual dimension. In short, history would be very lame without all these subjects or domains. Now let's have some insights on history. Let's start with dating. So many are familiar with the terms BC, which stands for before Christ, and AD, which stands for Anno Domini. BC is the era before Jesus Christ was born, and AD is the era after his birth. Now, what about BCE, which stands for before Common Era, and CE, which stands for Common Era? So, both BCE and CE are the secularized versions of both BC and AD respectively, which actually means the same timeline. Now, let's try to understand the nature of timeline. So, you will notice when the study of history progresses from ancient to modern era, the study of art and architecture is still there, but it just happens that their study gets diluted and the study of personalities, ideologies, and so on take a firm hold in history. So, what are the 5 important questions in history? They are what, when, where, why, and how. So, whenever we try to attempt the answers of questions based on history, these questions should be taken into consideration. Let's have a brief review of CUET PG syllabus. In the syllabus of both ancient and medieval India, various aspects are taken into account, but they are subjective in nature. What I mean is that either we may study the political and economic aspect of a given dynasty or a period, or we may study the society or administration of a given dynasty or a period without taking into consideration the rise and decline of the very dynasties and periods which we would be studying. So we will take this factor into consideration and nevertheless still stick with the syllabus. Now, in the history of modern India, almost all aspects are taken into consideration with the increase in the study of various personalities, ideologies, nationalism, and patriotism. At the same time, we will notice that the study of art and architecture will get diluted, as mentioned before. Now, let's have a brief review of question papers of CUET PG. So the examination will be computer based and the medium of question paper would be either English or Hindi based on your choice. Question paper will consist 100 questions in total in 2 parts. Part A will consist 25 questions based on language comprehension or verbal ability, general awareness, mathematical and quantitative ability, and analytical skills. Part B will have 75 questions based on domain knowledge, which in your case would be based on history. Regarding marking scheme, each question will carry 4 marks. For every correct answer, you will earn positive 4, and for every incorrect answer, you will earn negative 1. So this was all about introduction to history and CUET PG examination. Thank you.